Try that. Is that better? Wait, hold on right here.
Just sit back like normally, like you're comfortable.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Perfect.
That sounded really good. That was a good one. Love it. Welcome to Ordinary Joe's Extraordinary Stories, a podcast that shines a light on ordinary people and their extraordinary stories. From small towns to big cities, we're sharing the real, raw, and inspiring moments that connect us all. Because every voice matters. Every story counts. This is Ordinary Joe's Extraordinary Stories. Welcome back, Joes, to another season of Ordinary Joe's Extraordinary Stories. We've got a good one in store for you. I've got my good friend and my brother from another mother, Dawson, in the house. Dustin, welcome. Thank you for coming and doing this. I appreciate you.
What's up, guys? This is round 2 for me.
It actually is round 2, and unfortunately, we lost round 1. I had a mishap with the video going out on Dustin's end. So we had such a great conversation, and then I went and reviewed it, and all the audio's there, and half the video's gone. So I can live without myself being on half the video, but my guest, that's unacceptable, and I will not tolerate that. So we're doing it again.
High standards.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to start this the same way we started the last one, with some minor caveats. We're not going to discuss some of the things we discussed early on in the last one, but we'll just give a brief background that we met via you and my wife being co-workers, and we've been good friends since.
Absolutely. The best of friends.
Best of friends. We're the 2 best friends that anyone can have. Maybe not as much as you and Drew, but...
It's quite close. Quite close.
I want to get Drew on here, by the way, too. I think you and Drew together would be really fun.
But Drew's become a podcast champion because his practice that he works at, they do podcasts all the time.
You shut your pie hole. Really?
Yes.
Okay, well...
They go to Rio Bravo Brewing and do podcasts all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think that would still be fun. Have Drew over here, you and him sitting on the couch just fucking with each other, and I think that would be a good podcast. I'd love to have that, so maybe we can make that happen.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's start off with your childhood. You are not from here.
I am not from here. I have migrated to numerous locations overseas. I've been to numerous states, and New Mexico is where I've landed. But I am from Kentucky.
Nice. And what part of Kentucky?
I am from the capital city. Most people think that it's Louisville, Kentucky. It is Frankfort, Kentucky.
Say it again.
Frankfort.
No, not that one. The other one.
Louisville. Not Louisville. Louisville.
So why is it to 90% of the country Louisville, but to you guys it's Louisville?
Yeah, so I think somewhere along the way people have forgotten to put the I in there. So it's actually, in the way that we say it, it's Lullville.
Louisville.
So Louisville.
Louisville.
If you're talking to a Kentuckian and you say Louisville, they're going to be like, you clearly are not from here.
Okay, yeah, clearly.
But
Well, that's awesome. Okay, you grew up in Louisville, and what was that like?
So growing up in Kentucky, I come from a pretty suburban style area, mostly lower middle class type neighborhoods. I wouldn't say that we were financially, we had it bad per se, but everything's cheap where I'm from. So, I mean, you could be a state government employee and live just fine. 2 vacations a year. Typically we go to Florida. I mean, it's just a very simple living.
Sure.
But that's pretty much my childhood growing up. It was a little bit of a blend between like a hybrid dynamic between suburban living and country living.
So what that sounds like to me, and I know from experience growing up in Santa Fe, is that sounds like a recipe for people to get into trouble and mischief.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, nobody in the area, it doesn't matter where you come from. You could come from the nicer parts of town, the worst parts of town. Everybody's always looking to get into mischief, especially kids. Because, with kids, I feel like they get bored.
100%. That's true.
You get bored, and I like to think about, like, Rio Rancho, for example. This area is very much like the place that I'm from as far as like economics are concerned. There's
Okay.
not a lot to do around here.
Right.
So when I hear about crime analytics and statistics around this area, I'm always thinking like you could probably fix a lot of those problems by putting in some entertainment.
Well, and let's be clear though, we have a very, very low crime rate here.
Yes.
Considering where we are, proximity to Albuquerque, and then what state we live in. So, like, in all reality, Rio Rancho is doing the best out of any city in this state. But yeah, there are metrics that could change that would absolutely drop that even further.
I feel like Rio Rancho, I mean, again, this is all personal opinion, but
Of
like
course.
just given the occupation that I serve in, I see a lot of people that are not from here.
Yeah.
So like this area is very much so like it's weird, but it's almost like a destination for a lot of people. You have a lot of people that really crave the idea of being in a humid environment, going to Florida, going to California. Then you come out here in the desert and it's like, wait a second, the weather is phenomenal all the time. In the summertime, you can wear long sleeves and sweatpants and you won't even sweat. So you have a lot of these Midwesterners coming from the north. You have a lot of people coming from the East Coast, a lot of
Right.
New Yorkers.
Right.
And they come out here, and that's where I think a lot of your crime analytics drop, is because a lot of these people are not from here. They
Makes
come in
sense.
here. They come in here to work at Intel, and they're traveling a lot. So it's like it is a different population, which is why I feel as though there's a lower crime analytic in this area.
That makes sense. But yeah, getting back to the Kentucky thing and people getting in trouble, like growing up in Santa Fe, we you know, we had, when I was a kid, there were programs. There was a skating ring. There was, you know, all kinds of stuff you could do as a kid. Unsupervised or, you know, with minimal supervision and stuff. There was activities that were, the city didn't shut down at 6 o'clock. Now it's like totally gentrified and catered to the uber wealthy and the tourism industry to the point that, you know, there's nothing for kids. So what do you think those kids are going to do?
Well, yeah, they're gonna get in trouble, but I think that a lot of this, the gentrification that we're talking about, I think a lot of that gentrification actually pushes people out into these pockets. Because I saw the same thing. I used to live in South Florida, and when I lived in South Florida, I feel like in Miami, where I was living at, you have like a lot of gentrified high end areas,
Sure.
but the areas directly adjacent are just loaded with crime. So it's like you take a lot of this crime and you think to yourself, as a city planner, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's give all these really high income folks a lot to do, and let's drive the price up on all of the entertainment, and then let's push all these people who can't afford it into these small pockets, and then you end up getting a lot of crime that ends up breeding out there. So that's
Well, and that makes a lot of sense because you don't shit where you eat.
Yeah,
So
100%.
anybody who's going to do these activities in these fun places is going to come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And guess what? Their neighborhood isn't going to get fucked up.
No, absolutely not. Because the thing is these people, they feel protected by having higher income taxes, having higher property taxes. They're under the impression they don't have to worry about those things because, again, everything else is just pushed to the side.
Yeah.
So it's they're paying for it in a theory, but yeah, it's the
Doesn't
whole
make it okay.
It doesn't make it okay. No, exactly not. And then also, it's like you said, it's a destination, right? Like Santa Fe. When I'm thinking of it as somebody who's not from here, I go to Santa Fe for what? To eat really nice food, to drink really nice wine and beer and whiskey and what have you.
Fair.
But I'm not going out to Santa Fe as a tourist because that's essentially what I am. I'm not going to Santa Fe to see what it's like to live in Santa Fe. So I have no perspective there.
Fair.
But then I hear stories from people like yourself or people who are from Santa Fe that I see at the clinic.
Or turn on the news.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, but I see and I hear these things coming from people from the area, and I feel like it's very common where people will be like, "Oh, you like Santa Fe? You clearly aren't from.
shouldn't."
Yeah, you're not from Santa Fe."
Yeah.
So, but I don't speak directly on it. Again,
That's fair.
I go there to travel.
That's fair.
But my wife, you know, she, in her occupation that she was serving, she was doing a lot of educational law, and she told me straight up, she was like, "Yeah, dude, like." You look at the school boards in Santa Fe and you see the crime statistics in the schools, and she's like, it is not that place that we go to on the weekends.
Yeah,
it is
totally.
a totally different beast out there.
And okay, so real quick, you just said something that's really impressive. Your wife and law in the same sentence, like, and she's doing something on the good side of the law. She's not getting in the bad side of the law. You also are impressive. You're a fucking doctor. Just everybody take a look at this. This is a doctor. We're gonna get into that, but tell everybody how old you are.
I am 32 in a month.
32 years old. This man is a doctor and has been a doctor. It's not like you just turned into a doctor. You've been a doctor.
Been a doctor now for exactly a year. Well, a year and a half, but yeah, anyway, about a year.
That's so impressive. And your wife is an attorney.
My wife is an attorney. We both went to school in Ohio, so coming out to New Mexico was like shell shock for us.
Now, and real quick, tell us about how you made New Mexico the choice.
So New Mexico is in the Southwest, in case you guys didn't realize that.
No, it's not.
This is a totally convoluted story here, but for me, I had aspirations to move to the Northwest.
No kidding.
I did.
Pacific Northwest?
Pacific Northwest
Yeah,
was
buddy.
that was the spot that I wanted to land at. I kind of knew that's where I wanted to be at and where I was gonna be at.
Yeah, buddy.
Problem was, again, we'll take a journey. That's what we're on here for, right? So we'll take a journey through this convoluted path that
Please,
led me.
I'm in.
So when I was graduating from undergrad in Florida, I was applying to go to school for optometry, and there were essentially 3 optometry schools that I really looked at going to. The number one optometry school that I wanted to go to was Pacific, which is a school in Forest Grove, Oregon. I love Oregon. Always have, always will, still travel there to this day.
Are you by chance a hippie?
I am not a hippie, but I enjoy hippie things.
Okay, fair enough.
So I was totally down to try out Oregon.
Wonderful.
And I had traveled there. Again, as a tourist, I had traveled there.
Okay.
I kind of got the touristy feel. Portland's okay. Cool spot. There's a lot of stuff to do. I feel like there's a lot of things about Portland that I didn't necessarily like, but there are areas around Portland where I was like, yeah, I could totally see myself settling in here. So I did my interviews at this school in Oregon. I had all my paperwork filled out. They had everything on me. I can still tell you the name of the individual at the school when I applied who was like, "Yep, that's my girl. She knows me."
You're wild.
I know that when I get there, she's gonna know me. She's gonna roll out the red carpet. So I got there. I got accepted to the school, but then I had 2 other schools that I was looking at as well. The other one, the second one on my list, was in San Diego. That's Southern California College of Optometry. I love San Diego. I was stationed in San Diego when I was in the military.
And we're going to get to that.
And when I went out to do my interview at that location, they were like it's not that I wouldn't have been able to get to the interview process. It's just the interview process was just so ungodly, insanely hard to go through. It was like, not only did you go to 1 interview, you had to go to 2 and 3 and 4. There was a whole system of interviews.
But why?
Because they're in California, they want to be a little bit more highly selective. And there's only like 26, 27 optometry schools in the country. 3 of them are in California. So SCCO being in San Diego, they're in like direct competition with UC Berkeley.
Okay.
And UC Berkeley is another one of there's a big 5 optometry schools, and UC Berkeley's like right up there with the top.
No kidding.
So I applied at SCCO. I didn't actually go through with the in-person interview there just because I didn't feel like it was necessary. I was like, you know what? I know what it's going to be like to have to go through the process. I'm just going to skip it. Then number 3 hits. So number 3 was Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. I had a friend of mine when I was in the military who actually was from Ohio, and he was living in Columbus at that time. And he told me, he said, "Hey man, if you're going to be applying to optometry school, you should apply at Ohio State. They've got a really good school." And I said, I hadn't even really thought about that, mostly because I was trying to get away from my hometown. So I was like, I don't want to be anywhere even close.
Well, proximity-wise, that's only a couple hundred miles, right?
Yeah, so if you're driving from Frankfort, Kentucky, where I'm from, to Columbus, Ohio, you're looking at about a 3-hour commute.
Wow, that's not far at all.
It's not far at all, but it is. The thing is that the drive to go down there and to go back, it's a 6-hour commute. I'm not going to want to do 6 hours driving back and forth. So I didn't even really go home that much when I was there.
That's understandable.
But when I went to my interview at Ohio State, the way that they do things there is so drastically different than anywhere else. I didn't just like show up for an interview. They were like, you know what? I'm going to buy you football tickets. It's homecoming weekend. We're going to put you on the field. They did everything. So I went to Ohio State, did my interview, loved it. Went to a football game, loved it. And then after I got back to Florida, because again, I was living in Miami, Florida at the time, I came back home. My wife was like, "Well, how was your interview?" And I opened up my duffel bag and I pulled out my jersey and I was like, "Well, I bought a football jersey and I think I got accepted. So we're moving to Ohio." And she was like, "Where's Ohio?" So So here we are moving to Ohio. But anyway, tying that back into how we got to New Mexico, right? My aspirations were that I wanted to end up on the West Coast.
Okay.
Being an Ohio State alumni, it opens up a lot of doors to a lot of different places.
Interesting.
And one of those big perks is that it doesn't matter where you go, you're always going to find Buckeyes. So I happen to know a guy who is here in this area who was hiring an optometrist. And
Nice.
not only was he hiring an optometrist, he wanted an Ohio State optometrist.
Nice.
So that was kind of how I got out here. But I thought to myself, this might be an easy way for me to kind of teeter-tatter my way up to the Pacific Northwest. Sounds convoluted, but again, it's still west of the Mississippi.
Whatever works.
Correct. So I got out here, and my aspirations, of course, being that I originally wanted to be in the Pacific Northwest, I was like, we'll give it like 4 or 5 years, see if we like it.
Sure.
Now that we're here and we're settled in, my wife's got her, she's working as an attorney out here. I'm working as an optometrist. This area is healthcare burdened. I was like, you know what? I love it. Like, I love it. I love the food. I love the culture. I love the people that I've met have been phenomenal. I don't really see myself going up north, and it's cheaper to live here.
That's true.
Everything about being in this area to me is a perk. I know there's a lot of bad things about living in New Mexico, but at the same time, I feel like I've been able to kind of navigate through that a little bit easier. I've met a lot of people that make life a lot easier to live out here.
Sure.
Finding a primary care doctor is really tough here.
That's facts.
I happen to know a guy who just opened a brand new clinic. So
Got your pie hole. I'm possibly looking to switch.
if you guys are looking for a primary care doctor in Rio Rancho, the Bosque Clinic with family nurse practitioner Robert Martinez is the place to go. Same day appointments, open 8 to 8 and Saturdays from 9 to 3. Just letting you know.
100.
So anyway, but that's why
100.
that's why I ended up coming out, was to get closer to the West Coast.
Fantastic.
But I don't want to be on the West Coast.
That's great.
So-
Well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah.
We love you. So
I love you too, man. I love being here.
good. So I want to talk about your military experience, and I want you to get all the details back from your initial decision to even join military.
Yeah. So if my outfit doesn't throw it out to you,
Real quick, let me interrupt you for just a second. My apologies, but you're not wearing glasses today, and you have a very Viking look about you today.
a Viking look.
Yeah, you look like a fuck. You could be Ragnar Lothbrok's kid. Dude.
That's a topic.
Okay, let's talk about it. We
Okay.
can go back to the military.
We're here to talk. Whoever's listening to this, you're here to listen.
That's right. Enjoy it.
So enjoy this. You say Ragnar Lothbrok. I say Bjorn Ironside.
Oh, he's hard.
So for me, I watched. I had this like whole time of my life, and it was actually when I was in Florida, where I was powerlifting, strongman competitions. I was doing all this crazy weightlifting.
Sick.
And I was watching Vikings. The show
I
Vikings.
love that show so much. It's
I do
so
too,
good.
dude. I love it. So I was watching Vikings, and I was like, dude, I love the look.
you have the look.
Yes. So I had a time in my life where I actually had my beard. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Beard was grown out to almost a foot. Hair,
Damn.
I had a single braid going all the way back. Like
You're a wild
I
man.
looked like Bjorn Ironside.
That's wild.
So yeah, I went.
Well, I nailed that shit because I said his son. I
Yeah.
said you could be his son. That's wild.
Exactly, dude. So that's the Viking tie-in.
Nice.
What were you talking about before that?
What do you mean?
We had said something about. Oh, it was in the military.
Yeah.
I was saying something about my appearance today.
Yes. Please.
So
sorry.
I am, despite going to school at Ohio State and being a huge scarlet and gray guy, I love the Buckeyes. I love the color navy because I served in the Navy.
In the Air Force. Oh, damn.
No air power over here.
I'm just kidding.
Hoo-yah. I was in the Navy. Love the navy blue stuff. It's kind of my jam. But the reason I joined the Navy is the same kind of reason that I found myself living west of the Mississippi. I wanted to get out of home. At 17, I was by no means the smartest kid in my class.
Fair.
My high school group, like, I was, just like you said before, troublesome.
Now, real quick on that note, were you getting into like legal trouble, or were you just like, I don't care anymore, or what was your mindset?
I was a right below the radar kind of guy.
Okay.
Never really had any legal issues.
Good.
Never got caught doing
Same.
anything wrong.
Same.
So because of that, I think that coming out on the other side, you do have a really good frame of reference.
Okay.
not having had to deal with all the issues of legality problems and being put in a home and all this stuff, just having the experience of like doing bad things, but not bad enough to the point where it's like bad.
Yeah.
I was a kid, just like how you were a kid in Santa Fe. I was a kid in Kentucky, and being a kid in Kentucky and being bored and not having any direction in life, you do kind of find yourself thinking, what am I going to do after my mom and dad kick me out of the house? So for me, that decision came, actually, there was an actual event that took place in my life that led me to joining the Navy. And that event was my senior year of high school. I was driving my mom's vehicle from a friend of mine's house. We were going to a tennis match, and it was a situation where the tennis match was like a whole weekend long.
Okay.
So I had like packed up the whole SUV with all my clothes and stuff, and like we were going to make a weekend out of it at 17. And as I'm leaving my friend's neighborhood, I hydroplaned in her SUV, went up a hill, hit a tree, roll off the hill.
Holy shit.
Car is upside down. I damn well could have died.
Hold on, I just want to say we did not cover this on the last interview. I didn't hear this.
No, and I was waiting for round 2.
Oh.
So when it comes to joining the military, what happened was my mom, we don't come from a lot of money. Right. So my mom had to make a decision, and to this day, I think about that decision all the time.
Okay.
Her decision was, I either take this burden onto myself and I pay for all this damage to this SUV, which was brand new, by the way, or I claim that you stole it. And what did my mom do? She claimed that I stole it.
Oh, shit.
So I ended up taking on the burden of responsibility which is fine.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, looking back at it as an adult, I get it. I know why she did it, because what would have happened was the insurance would have dropped not only the car, but the house. She would have owed a lot of money. Like all these things, I get it, but it sucked. It really sucked. And I felt like I genuinely felt like as a 17-year-old, having made my first major hiccup in life, I'm now looking at this and I'm thinking, how am I going to dig myself out of this hole? Well, I didn't. I definitely wasn't going to be able to dig myself out of that hole by working at Kroger's, which is like your old Smith's.
Yeah.
I was essentially a bag boy, bagging up groceries and pushing grocery carts.
I mean, that's the dream.
That's the dream, brother. In Frankfort, Kentucky, working at Kroger, no upward mobility in your job. I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to be able to afford to pay all these costs with a Kroger salary. I'm making like $7 an hour. So I couldn't afford that. I couldn't afford it. So I was like, all right, what the hell am I supposed to do? Talk to my dad. My dad's a little bit more hard-nosed about things. He just straight up told me, look, man, you don't really got much direction in life. You don't really have good grades. I doubt you're going to go to college. Why don't you go to the military recruiting office? And I was like, honestly, dude, doesn't sound too bad. So I'll tell you my story with the military. I have a funny one. I share this with all types of people. I scheduled a meeting with the Marines. I said, you know what? If I'm going to do it,
You're going to go hard.
I'm going to be a badass. So I was like, I'm going to schedule this meeting with the Marine Corps. I'm going to go over there. We're going to do lunch together, whatever. I go to the office that day. My dad drops me off at the office. Again, I didn't have a car. So my dad drops me off. I go into the Marine Corps office. I'm sitting down. I'm looking at all the fucking posters, the dudes with the sword and the dragon. And I'm like, I'm going to slay that fucking dragon. And I'm sitting there waiting for my appointment to come up with these jarheads. Love them to death. And they didn't show up. And I'm like, where the fuck are the Marines at, dude? Like, they didn't show up. They weren't there for like an hour. I was sitting there like, where are these guys? I had this meeting scheduled.
Aren't they supposed to be punctual?
They're supposed to be punctual, 15 minutes early. You know the drill. I'm sitting there in this office, and all of a sudden, I see these two dudes walking by in these blue camis. Now, the Navy no longer wears the NWU Type 2s. Well, actually, I think they're like the Type 3s.
Hold on. For us who speak English, tell me what you just said.
Yeah, so NWU is essentially the Navy wear uniform. So it's the working uniform for the Navy.
Okay.
Nowadays, the Navy has adapted the greens and the desert browns. So
really?
They actually have a very similar uniform to what the Marine Corps wears now. It's a little bit lighter in complexion. But they used to wear these like blue printed camo uniforms.
Yeah, I remember the blue was awesome.
We used to call them the blueberries.
Nice.
So these guys come walking past the office and they're in these blue camis, and I was like, those look dope. And I'm just a dude, right? I'm like,
you're basing your military outcome on the dope looking outfit,
on the cosmetics. I was totally about the cosmetics. I was like, whatever the hell I'm going to look the flashiest and sharpest in, I'm down. I had no direction.
Outstanding.
I am not the kind of guy where I was like, I am ready to serve my country, put me in Afghanistan. Like I was just like, you know what? I just want to join the military, get the fuck out of here. So I was sitting there seeing these two dudes walk by in these blue camis, and I'm like, damn, those uniforms look kind of sick. And then they come back around the corner and they said, hey, buddy, are you here to see somebody? And I said, well, I was supposed to see these guys, but they haven't showed up. They said, oh, dude, we got plenty of time, and we have an Xbox. Come over to our office. And I was like, cool, dude.
Xbox word.
Yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to talk to these guys. So I walk in their office. They put me on the sticks. We're playing Halo 2, like farting off, whatever. And then the guy's like, after like an hour of sitting around playing video games, the guy was like, so you want to talk about a contract? And I'm like, with the Navy? And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, we're like the big brothers of the Marines. Like, you don't want to talk to little brother. And I'm like, okay, sure, we'll talk. So I'm talking them up. They're chit-chatting with me. They're like, so what's your aspirations? And I'm thinking, well, I need to get out of here, like now.
I want to leave.
I want to leave.
I aspire to be a manager someday, but I need to leave now.
I need to leave right now. And the guy was like, dude, I can get you on a ship in the next couple months. I was like, okay. I love the ocean. I'm down to go into the Navy. Let's do it. So he's going through this whole list of jobs with me, and he's like, okay, cool. Like, what do you what do you think you would be best fit for? And I'm like, I don't know. Bagging groceries? I don't know what I want to do. So he's like, how about this? He's like, how about let's look at your ASVAB score and let's see where you fit in the mold. And I'm like, okay, cool.
He's like, oh, you're overshooting. Bag boy is way too high.
Yeah. So he's like, again, me not being a very level-headed teenager, right? He's like, let's look at your ASVAB score. And I immediately thought to myself, oh, fuck. Like, I definitely didn't take that seriously. Like anything else in life, did not take the ASVAB seriously. Sure. So when he pulls my ASVAB score, he's like, so you just put your name on the paper and turn it in. I'm like, yeah, kind of.
I told you.
Yeah, I was like, I told you. He's like, how about this, dude? I'm going to give you a little book, study the book, go retake this test because I don't think you're this dumb. And I was like, okay. So I go and I retake the ASVAB. I can still remember to this day walking into the ASVAB center and thinking, please, God, score high so I don't have to be like just painting a ship. Like, I don't want to be painting a ship. And I got like a 75 or something, which was relatively okay. Definitely higher than what you would need to get in the Marines or the Army.
Okay.
So I go back to the office. He sees my score. He's like, oh, yeah, dude, you're going to be fine. So he takes my paperwork. He sends it up to MEPS, which is military processing. And he's like, they'll get back to you in a month. We'll figure out what kind of job you rate. And I'm like, cool. I'm hanging out, doing my thing for a month, couch surfing at this point because I'm out of school and I have no, I'm like, I had quit my job doing groceries. So I was like, I'm joining the fucking Navy.
Yeah.
I get a phone call one day. I'm in my garage with my stepdad, like working on the car or something. And he's like, hey, man, we got your job. And I said, okay, cool. What's my job? And he's like, you're going to be a hospital corpsman. And I said, okay, so I hear the word hospital. I don't know what corpsman means. Like, so essentially you're going to be a medic. And I was like, that sounds really fucking cool. And at the time I had just the movie, what was that movie that came out? It was like in LA and there's like aliens and the Marines are there. It's like back in like 2010, 2011. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Independence Day?
Not Independence. That's like way before. This is like, it's like some kind of like an LA, like Los Angeles aliens come down. And like, anyway, there was this movie about how the Marines were fighting aliens. Of course, they're always fighting a dragon or aliens, right? But there was a hospital corpsman in the movie and they called him Doc. And I was like, I'm going to be that guy.
I'm Doc.
I'm going to be Doc. So I was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it, dude. Sign me up. So anyway, I get locked in to be a hospital corpsman. I go to MEPS. I'm peeing in a cup. I'm crab walking across the floor with my drawers down and stuff. I do all the military processing
what the fuck?
stuff. Yeah.
Hold on. You can't say something like that and then not explain what?
Yeah. So when you go into military processing, they have to do a full. And anybody, if there's any veterans on this, trust you know what I went through. You have to go into this building and they have to check every square millimeter of your body to make sure that you are fully fit to go into the military.
Holy shit, dude.
So you have to do a vision test, you have to do a physical, you have to do a pee in the cup, drug test, drug screen, all this stuff.
Sure.
So I went through all this process, and one of the things they test you for is like hernias and stuff. And of course they're not doing it the way your primary care doctor does. They're having you strip down and you're crab walking across the floor, and they're like just making sure they're looking down at stuff like, okay, cool, yeah, we're not seeing any drag. So that you go through all this crap, right?
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, you get through all this crap.
We're not here to humiliate you or anything. Don't worry. Just get naked and crab walk.
Yeah, get naked, crab walk. I don't want to pee in this cup too while you're down there. So you go through all this processing, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, and God, we've taken a segue, but this is beautiful. The whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, this is just required. This is what's required. I get through it. I pass my physical. Everything's straight. I get on a bus and I go to the airport in Louisville, and that's where they're going to send me out. So Naval Boot Camp is in Chicago. So they send you to Great Lakes, Chicago to do your boot camp, which is not really in metropolitan Chicago. It's a little north near the Great Lakes.
Damn.
Cold as hell.
Yeah.
I'm there in fucking October, November, December. Like, I'm there for the worst months of the year. It's snowing like crazy the whole time I'm there, and it sucks ass.
What are you doing the whole time you're there?
You're in boot camp. So it's like boot camp for the Navy, as laughable as it is, it still sucks. Any boot camp that anybody has to go through is going to suck. But I happen to be going through at a time where there was still, this is back in like 2010, there was still a lot of conflict and heated up stuff going on in the Middle East.
Okay.
So like, they had a lot of like training on like the USS Cole, which was a ship that got torpedoed, and like it wasn't actually long before I went to boot camp that happened. So a lot of the simulations and stuff that we run in Navy boot camp is actually simulated on real life type things.
Damn.
So, and there's a lot of like confidential training structures at Naval boot camp that I don't even think I'm allowed to disclose, so I'm not.
Fair.
But there's a lot of trainings that you do in boot camp that are catered towards your military service that you're going into. So I went through Naval boot camp, got through it by the grace of God. That sucked awful. Get out of Naval boot camp, and now I'm going to Corps School. So Corps School is where I'm learning to be a naval medic. That's in San Antonio, Texas. Used to be in Great Lakes, Chicago, but they just recently, before I went, moved it to Texas. You're on base with Air Force. You're on base with 68 Whiskeys from the Army. These are their combat medics. And then you got your hospital corpsmen. Go through Corps School, you're just learning basic type stuff. This is like EMT training, paramedic type stuff, what to do whenever, like, if something were to happen on a ship, like, how are you treating this?
That's wild.
All this stuff. And again, you guys now know me well enough to know at this point, I have no idea what I'm doing because I am a bag boy from Kroger in Frankfort, Kentucky. And I'm like going through this, scratching my head like, what the hell is this? Get through it. I did really well, which is awesome because that sets me up for my next transitionary phase, which was not just being a medic, but then further specializing and becoming you guessed it, I'm an optometrist, a surgical technician. So I'm doing surg tech now. So after I graduate...
Hold on. You just said that like there was a direct connection and we should know. Okay, I see the sarcasm.
There's definitely not. So
I was like, what?
Yeah, so, and again, we're going to tie, this will all be tied back in. And because I think that I'm on this podcast for a reason, and I'm giving you what you want here.
I love it.
So this next evolutionary phase, being a hospital corpsman is a basic medic in the military.
Okay.
Once you get out of your basic hospital corps school, this is again back in 2010, you are what's considered a quad zero, which means that you don't have a special designator. You are not specialized to do anything. They can put you wherever they desire. You could be working patient admin. You could be cleaning floors at a hospital.
Now, you don't have a say in it?
You don't have a say in it because it's needs of the Navy.
Okay.
The Navy will put you where the Navy needs you.
Okay.
So I got out of corps school and I thought, this is where, again, I'm going to be a badass. I want to go to FMTB, which is Field Medical Training Battalion, which is where you go to be a greenside corpsman for the Marine Corps.
You're hard.
The Marine Corps does not have their own medics. They use the Navy's. So you don't join the Marine Corps to be a medic. You have to go through the Navy. So I thought to myself, getting out of corps school, I said, I want to further specialize and I want to be a badass. I'm going to go greenside. Well, the needs of the Navy had other options for me. And that option was, you did well in school. We're going to take the top 25% of the class and we're going to further specialize you to do other things. So they put me in a surgical technology program. If you don't know what surgical technology is, when you go into the operating room, when the surgeon is performing the procedure, he has people in the back handing him tools and instruments and also helping.
You're the scalpel guy.
Correct.
Scalpel.
There you go. I am the guy handing him the scalpel, and I hand him the wrong scalpel, and then he throws it across the room. So that's what I did.
Excellent.
So I did surgical technology, got through my surgical technology program, which was also in San Antonio. And this is where things take a bit of a turn.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So I graduate from my surgical technology program, and then they're saying, this is where you finally, after a year and a half of training, you now get to pick your orders. In the military, when you leave a command, you pick orders to determine whether you're going to California, North Carolina, Virginia. You get to do what's called a dream sheet. Now, again, it's a dream. And sometimes dreams can turn into nightmares. Fortunately, my first dream sheet, I got exactly what I wanted. So I went up for orders, and my number one, they had one single order to Japan. And I said, that's what I want. I want to go to Japan.
Hell yeah.
So I put Okinawa, Japan as my top order. And the next day, when we went up for our selection, it was still on the board when I got up to the front. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. Let's fucking go. I'm going to Japan. So I put Okinawa on there. Now, here I am, way down the line. Let's do a little bit of, let's do some backtracking on our conversation.
Sure.
I am an optometrist. I do a lot of eyeball stuff, right? So you would think.
You do eyeballs?
I do eyeballs.
Oh my God. How's that?
It's great. Very moist. So,
unless you have dry eye.
Yes. Which out here, you need some dry eye treatment, come see me. So I'm selecting these orders for Okinawa, Japan, and then I get the orders, and there's a caveat. And the caveat is, yeah, you can go to Okinawa, but you have to go to one more school. And I said, well, Jesus, at this point, my entire enlistment's going to be served at schooling commands, right?
Cool.
I didn't get to go to field med. I didn't get to be a badass. But now I'm going to go and do eyeball stuff. That's what I did. So the next set of orders that I got were ophthalmic surgical technician. So not only would I be serving as a surgical first assist doing surgery with surgeons, now I had to further specialize in doing first assisting for an ophthalmologist.
So instead of scalpel, it's like spatula.
It's still scalpel, just scalpels are very small.
Oh, okay, fair.
So I'm used to sitting in here banging up bones and doing like ACL repairs, ankles, delivering babies, and then all of a sudden I am now sitting in an ophthalmology suite in San Diego. So I did 2 months of schooling in San Diego at Balboa Naval Hospital to specialize as an ophthalmology surgical technician.
Bro, did you cut open eyeballs?
Oh, all the time.
What the fuck?
100%, bro.
How do you cut an eyeball open and it not like, doesn't it just like deflate?
No, dude, no. There's a lot of special tools. We won't even get into that.
Fucking wild, okay.
A lot of money in that stuff. But I went to Balboa Naval Hospital in San Diego. Finally got my opportunity to go to San Diego before I even knew I wanted to go to San Diego.
Nice.
So I was in California for 2 months, did that. Again, got through it. Great. Then I went to Okinawa.
How's your Japanese?
It's okay.
Good.
I can order off of a menu and I can tell people that I'm full.
Nice.
Watashi wa onakai ipai.
Oh, so proud of you.
Gochisousama deshita. Yeah, I can do a little bit of Japanese.
So proud of you.
Yeah, not a lot. It's
amazing.
Yeah, but it's funny because I do know like some jokes in Japanese. Like when I have patients that come in, I'll be just kind of going back and forth, whatever. But I got to Okinawa, and I remember, and I'm sure you love this. I got to Okinawa, and what do you think the first thing I watched was when I got there?
Godzilla.
No, dude, come on, man. You know me, and I know you. What would I watch?
Vikings?
No, it's Japanese.
Cars?
Akira.
Oh, Fast and Furious.
Tokyo Drift, baby.
Drift.
So Tokyo Drift was like my
Sorry, bro. I stumbled there. That was totally my bad.
you knew that, dude.
I did know that.
So Tokyo Drift is my favorite.
We completely approached this from a different angle this time, so I was not prepared for that.
So Tokyo Drift was my jam, and I was like, I have no way of physically preparing myself for living in a country that I've always wanted to live in. So I'm gonna watch Tokyo Drift over and over again.
I just gotta say real quick, that is still arguably my favorite Fast and Furious movie, aside from the first one, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
dude.
It's a close tie.
Tokyo Drift was my jam.
The cars.
That was my preparation in going to Japan. That's all I had.
You're like, I wrecked a car and I'm flying to Japan now.
Yeah, dude, that's all I had, and I felt like I was the main character on the movie.
You're much cooler than him.
So I got to Okinawa. I loved it, absolutely adored it. And to let you know, I will be back in Okinawa in 2 months.
That's right.
Going
October.
on a vacation. Yeah, going back in October. First time in 10 years, but got over to Okinawa, did 2 years of service in Okinawa, serving at the Naval Hospital. After I completed my rotation or my duty at Okinawa, I then went up to orders to go back stateside. And this is where I got my green side pendants. So I applied for orders. I knew that I wanted to go back to California. If I had to leave Japan, I wanted to go back to Cali. So I was like, you know what? I want to go back to San Diego. I don't care where you put me. Just put me somewhere in San Diego. And they're like, okay, well, you and everybody else want to go to San Diego. So how about this? We'll make it a lot less competitive. I'll guarantee you California, but it's not going to be directly in San Diego. And I said, okay, as long as it's California. So where do they put me? 29 Palms, which is the worst duty station in the entire Marine Corps.
Where is that located?
So it's actually just north of Palm Springs, about an hour.
Hotter than shit.
Hotter than hell, and you're also in high desert. So it's not as high as it is here because the weather there sucks. Here it's great. It's about 120 degrees every single day. You know where Joshua Tree's at?
Okay, yeah, more or less.
It is. I am 20 minutes north of Joshua Tree.
Wow.
In the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So I had to go to 29 Palms, and the reason why I say I had to is because I was so destined to be in California. I was like, I'm just going to take whatever they have in California.
I would have.
Exactly. So in order for me to go to 29 Palms, I had to go greenside. Had not done the Marine Corps training yet. Aha, here we are. Now I can tie in the Marines. So I sat at the Marine Corps recruiting office, never had the opportunity to talk to a Marine.
Right.
Talk to the Navy, and here I am, finally going into some Marine Corps training. So they sent me to Camp Pendleton, which is that's kind of like the gym of the West Coast as far as Marine Corps is concerned. It's not the largest Marine Corps base. 29 Palms is the largest, but it is like the most developed Marine Corps base, and it's also where all of the recon Marines and all the badasses go. They all go to Camp Pendleton for their training.
Nice.
And then from there they kind of go out to other places. 29 Palms is more of like it's kind of like a pre-staging duty station. So like if you're getting deployed, a lot of Marines and corpsmen and all types of people from militaries across the world come to 29 Palms to do their training before they go into a combat scenario.
Okay.
So in order for me to be able to go to 29 Palms, they're like, well, you have to go greenside. And I was like, hell yeah, I wanted to do this originally. Let's do it. So I went to Camp Pendleton, got my field medical training battalion stuff taken care of. That's how you get the Marine Corps uniforms and you look like a Marine. And then they send you to 29 Palms. I served the rest of my enlistment out in 29 Palms, and that's eventually where I ended up getting out at.
And how long was that?
I did, so I was in Camp Pendleton for 6 months. I was in 29 Palms for about a year and a half.
Damn.
So I at this point, I had served an entirety of 5 years in military service. I hit my 5-year mark, and that's when I was destined to get out. I had no desire to be in after 5 years because that's where school happens.
Do they, now the exit process, what's that like? Do they come to you and they're like, look, your time is coming up. Do you want to re-enlist or?
100%. Yeah.
And are they trying to like, car salesman you into re-enlisting, or is it just like your choice? Tell me now.
Yeah. So I feel like nowadays there's a lot more incentive to stay in. Whereas when I was in, I feel like there was a lot less opportunity to like get sign-on bonuses and re-enlistment bonuses.
Sure.
But another big part of it is just picking up rank. So I have got a really good friend of mine who I never really picked up rank in the military. The highest rank that I ever achieved was an E3. which is very low on the totem pole. Okay. In order for you to qualify to pick up E4, or in the military or in the Navy, we call that a petty officer third class. You have to take an advancement exam. You have to have good evaluations, all this stuff. I always had good evaluations, but I didn't give a fuck about the test. I was like, I don't care. Like, I know that I'm only going to want to do this for 5 years. So I really didn't qualify for reenlistment anyway.
Okay.
Because I didn't have the rank to do it.
Okay.
So I was considered a higher tenure.
Okay.
So higher tenure essentially means, you know what, you didn't pick up rank, you kind of got to get out.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah, totally.
No hate towards the Navy on that. Like,
well, and before we leave the military section, I just want to say thank you for your service first and foremost. But beyond that, it takes a special breed of person at all to go to any military service.
Oh yeah.
Now, I was disqualified as an 18-year-old because of asthma, but I'm kind of glad I was, because I was shitting a brick with the potential thought of them actually accepting me and taking me, because I was terrified. I didn't want to go. I didn't know what it was like. I didn't want to go through it. I was petrified. So, again, good on you.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, man. I mean, it's like one of those situations where I feel like you and I can resonate on the fact that, like, we come from a town where we wanted to get the hell away, right? I mean, in Kentucky, there's a lot of Army bases. You got Fort Knox, you got all these like big Army installations, so like military stuff is huge out there. And then in Santa Fe, I mean, hell, you got military bases everywhere out here. I mean, there's an Army National Guard outpost literally right as you're entering Santa Fe.
Yeah.
You've got Kirtland Air Force Base down here. I mean, you've got Los Alamos. You got all these big, giant, like contractual type entities out here that serve the military. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense to me that you're like, yeah, this might be an opportunity. For me, though, getting out of the military was easy because I knew that I had hit my tenure. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just didn't want to.
That's fair.
But I kind of wish I had my buddy Chris here, because you would love to talk to my buddy Chris. So I had this guy that I was in the military with. We knew each other from Japan, and he is to this day my best friend. He is my best friend. I've known him forever. We grew up together being in the military. We started off at the very bottom of the totem pole. I hit my E3 status and I was like, I'm ready to get out. I really wasn't going anywhere with the military, just like I wasn't really going anywhere when I was back home. But I had picked up a lot of tools along the way where I was like, I feel like now I might be more successful in like going through college.
Sure.
My buddy Chris, he is super intelligent. He picked up rank like crazy, dude. He went from being an E3, which is what's considered a hospitalman. He picked up E4, E5, E6. Now he's an E7. He's a chief in the Navy, which is big dog shit. You get your anchors, you're a badass, right? So he's got his anchors. He's been with the Greenside units. He's been operational. He's now stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Poor guy.
Yeah, he's been in Hawaii. He's been in Camp Pendleton. This dude is like, he's very successful in the military, but he's still my best buddy.
Well, I thought I was your best friend.
We have many best friends.
I also thought Drew was your best friend.
Drew is also my best friend.
Okay, cool.
I have best friends are brothers.
I just wanted to clarify.
Best friends are brothers and sisters. I have a lot of best friends. Chris just happens to be special to me because he's like, again, it's like my brother, my biological brother, doesn't even have as close of a tie with me as my best friend Chris.
To that note, I didn't even know you had a biological brother.
I do, and he still lives in Kentucky. He's a great dude. He is very comfortable living in Kentucky. He has a very close relationship with our mother. He's my half brother.
Oh, okay.
And his father, he's very close with his father, so he loves being in that area.
To each their own.
Correct, and he's happy, and I could not be more happy for him. But I've at this point lived nearly as much time of my life out of the military and beyond as I did military and below.
Okay.
So I almost feel like I have made such a change in my life at this point. I'm not the same person, like not even a little bit, which is great. But getting out of the military, like you had originally said, you're like, what's that process like? Well, it's really not that complicated. If you know that you want to get out, it's pretty easy. Problem is that a lot of veterans, they don't have any direction. They're just like, yeah, I hate the military. I want to get out. Cool. What do you want to do? I don't know. I don't want to do this.
That sounds very institutionalized.
Correct. So what happens is that you get a lot of these veterans. They get out of the military, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's difficult to understand all these benefits that you have as a veteran, and a lot of people don't even realize what they're actually eligible for. So for me, I had a mentor, my buddy Chris.
Nice.
He kind of put me through the whole thing. He's like, look, brother, you need to do this, do this, do this, apply for this. This is how you're going to do your schooling. This is that. So I had somebody to guide me.
Sweet.
And that guiding me from that point, because at this point, we've already made it 70% of the way through what I consider my life. Let's just talk about how I got here. So from the time that I got out of the military in 29 Palms, again, I knew generally that I was going to want to go to school, right? So I applied for college. I had a friend of mine that lived in Oakland, California, and he was like, hey, I'll take you in.
Nice.
I have a big family up here. I know you want to be on the West Coast. Come up with me. I live in Oakland. You can go to CSU East Bay, California State East Bay, which is in Stockton. And he was like, I have family out here. You know, everything would be fine. I was like, perfect. That sounds dope. Let's do it. So I applied at CSU East Bay. I applied back home in Kentucky. I applied at University of Kentucky. I just kind of threw my applications out, and I was like, I want to see just. Again, I never was a good candidate to go to school. So now all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second. Now I have actually something that could be considered desirable.
Nice.
I have military service. So now it might be easier for me to go to school. And I don't feel as stupid as I did when I got out of high school. So I was like, I might be good at school. Never was in the past, but now I might be. So I applied at all these colleges. There was one college that I applied to. This is how I got to being where I'm at today. My dad moved to Florida shortly after I got into the service, and he lived in South Florida. I had a friend of mine that I was stationed with in 29 Palms who was from Miami, and he told me, he said, "Hey man, if you want to go to college, you know we're pretty tight. Why don't we just you move in with me? We can go to the same school." And I was like, well, I kind of do want to be like closer to my dad. Like I haven't seen my dad in forever, and Florida seems pretty cool. Never been to Miami. Don't know what that's going to be like. But at this point, roll the fucking dice, dude.
Yeah.
So I roll the dice. I apply at the school. It's called Barry University, Barry University. It's in South Florida. It's in Miami Shores. So it's nowhere near all the vacation spots. It's way up in like near the gardens area. So it's like you're not near the beach. And the school was very small, and it was like very much so a commuter school. But I loved the experience that I got there, because when I got accepted and I went there, not only was I able to travel and see my dad, who was only like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours north of me.
Nice.
His area of Florida was like more of like the rural. It's kind of like north of Okeechobee. It's kind of like you're in the swamps a little bit.
That's just north of Orlando also?
No, south
of Orlando.
West of Orlando,
Okay.
about an hour and a half. He lives in Lakeland. But I was close enough to my dad to where I could go and see him and hang out with him whenever I wanted to, which was great. I loved it because he was doing a bunch of redneck shit. You know, like that's he lives in the swamps. He's like riding side by sides and.
How'd you end up looking like a Viking?
Again, I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
I'm the only person in my family that has this type of like the red hair and stuff. But going to South Florida, it's just like I was in a different world. I had
awesome.
never lived in a place like that. And and as much as I felt comfortable living with my buddy that I was in the military with, I also just kind of felt like alone.
That's wild.
I didn't know anybody. I was a veteran. I was non-traditional. It was difficult as hell for me to meet people in school.
What do you mean by non-traditional?
So I wasn't a pipeline student. So when I think about a traditional college student, I think of somebody who does, pre-K through senior year of high school, then goes into college.
Oh, okay.
So being a military veteran, I'm getting out, I'm going into college as a freshman at 23 years old.
Okay.
So not a whole lot different than a 17-year-old, but a lot different than a 17-year-old.
Sure.
Right? The school that I went to for undergrad was it was a commuter school. So like a lot of the people that went to school there were commuting from other places. Like not a lot of people lived on campus because it was a small college. But there were a lot of people that lived on campus, and my wife was one of those people.
Nice.
So my wife was also a non-traditional student. She was a military brat, and she had lived all over the world.
Nice.
When I met her in Miami, Florida, I thought it was very strange how I could meet somebody who was going through such a similar thing that I was.
That's awesome.
She wasn't from there. Her parents literally brought her down there, dropped her off, and said good luck, and drove away.
Damn.
So naturally, when I start dating her, I was her tutor, by the way. When I started dating her, her parents were so ungodly skeptical of me because they're just like, oh yeah, there's just this guy in Miami that's like dating, and he's like older than her. Like they thought that I was like, you know, a pimp or something, you know.
Well, hold on. How much older are you?
So my wife is she was 19 when I met her.
And you're 23.
I was 23.
So 4 years difference.
4 years difference, but in Miami, you don't know. They don't,
Okay, that's fair.
You don't know who that guy could be.
I just on that note, I listened to a true crime podcast, a couple of them, but dude, like 90% of the stories are from Ohio or Florida.
Yes, dude. I'm telling you, man, it's a lot of crime down there.
That's wild.
So they were under the impression that she had just met this like, you know, this just dude that was like using her and stuff. Anyway, we ended up getting along really well, her parents and I. And her dad, again, was in the Army. So, like, the fact that I was a Navy vet, he was like, cool, because, you know, he's served alongside the Navy.
Sure.
But yeah, so it was like, I met my wife there in South Florida. I loved my school. My school loved me.
Real quick about your school, what you said undergrad, tell us uneducated people what that means.
So undergraduate education essentially is just going to be your bachelor's schooling.
Okay.
So undergraduate education is going to be, you know, you start off in general education. So like if you're going to college, you're going to get 2 years before you get your associates.
Okay.
Your associate's degree essentially grants you eligibility into specialized schooling, which is what you get your bachelor's in.
Okay.
If you go to school for your associates, you pretty much have gotten your general education requirements taken care of.
Okay.
So for the first 2 years of undergraduate education, you're doing things like your math classes and your basic sciences and your Englishes and all that kind of stuff. And then once you finish all your general education, then you determine, well, what do I want to major in?
Okay.
At this point, I knew when I hit I knew what I wanted to do anyway. I told myself I want to be an optometrist.
Wild.
Because I had worked in the eyeball stuff in the Navy. So I was like, I want to do this. I didn't want to do surgery. I wanted to have a good life. And I didn't want to be stressed out all the time. So I was happy with the idea of doing primary care.
well, knowing what we know now, that seems like the opposite of what you should have done.
But I guess at the end of the day, my investment, the investment that I was making into my career was not an investment. I didn't want to go through more crazy schooling, more crazy stress.
I'm only joking.
Oh yeah,
you've got it made. So,
but that's where I'm seeing it as like I could have gone. Yeah, I mean, I could have gone to like medical school and been an ophthalmologist, like these people that I was serving with. But the thing is I knew that I wanted to have a family. I knew that I didn't want to be in school for 16 years, which is a lot of times these ophthalmologists and these surgeons, they're in school for like 16 years. So I'm like thinking about that. I'm like, no, I already did 5 years in the military. I did 4 years in undergraduate education.
That's wild.
4 years in optometry school. Like, I don't want to go to school anymore. That's 13 years. So I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do surgery. I was like, there's good money in surgery. There's a lot of opportunity in surgery, but I couldn't put my wife through that. I couldn't put myself through that.
That would have put you on a path, and who knows where you would have ended up.
I would have still been, and to this day, I would have just now been in residency.
As a surgeon, you'd have been here.
Oh, I don't even know.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I have
that
no
would have
idea.
taken you who knows where.
If I wanted to stay in Florida, I would have been fine. I would have been living in a penthouse on the beach. I mean, like, I could have done that. But, like, I thought to myself again, is it really worth it? I don't think it's worth it. Again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. My opinion is I don't want to be in school that long.
That makes sense.
I don't want to be school sucks. Like, I mean, I'm tired. As you now know, I have gone through so much schooling, and I was just a bag boy from Kroger. I didn't want to do any more schooling.
That's
and
fair.
as a matter of fact, when I got into, we'll kind of take a bridge here because I think that the undergraduate stuff, all of the stuff that I did in Miami, it was fun. I loved Miami. I built a family there. I have friends, very close friends that are Miami, like that are actually from Miami. A lot of them are Cuban and Haitian,
Nice.
and I still go visit them all the time.
Nice.
I have ties there, and if I go back, I can go to my old undergraduate college at Barry, and people know me. They still know me. So I loved Barry.
That's cool.
And then that's when this is when things get complicated. Back to it, we had talked about Ohio State. We had talked about all this stuff. Let's talk a little bit about going to Ohio State.
Yeah, how was that transition? Like, how did
It was a very complicated transition.
Okay.
The biggest complication came early on, because if you think about my timeline, when would I have been going to graduate school, my doctoral schooling? That would have been right when COVID started.
Oh
So
shit.
I started my doctoral schooling at Ohio State at the very beginning of COVID.
What?
So when it comes to optometry, at least at Ohio State, our schooling for the first year is pretty much the same thing that the medical school students are going through, the dental school students, the physical therapy, the pharmacists. We're all doing the same stuff. It's just general anatomy of the body,
Right.
general physiology, pharmacology, all the stuff of the body.
Okay.
Because in order for you to understand the eyes, you have to understand the body.
Wonderful.
So we're going through all this crazy stress, essentially doing the first year of medical school online. And it sucked.
That's hard.
It sucked so bad. And I'm going to tell you why it sucked so bad, because my frame of reference was...
Can I guess why it sucked, or at least why it would suck for me?
Oh, go ahead.
Dude, I have a hard time learning to begin with. I'm very hands-on. If you put me in front of a computer and you're like, okay, like 3-4 hours a day, you have to sit here and do online school, bro, I will zone the fuck out and get so distracted, squirrel, like,
Oh, yeah.
and trying to retain any kind of a knowledge off of a computer screen, no.
I don't have time to show you this today, but if I showed you what my study was at my apartment in Columbus, Ohio for my first year of school, you would laugh. I literally had these laminate posters that were enormous, and I covered an entire wall in my apartment. And I had a dry erase marker, and I drew. I'm a visual learner.
Yeah,
I
same.
drew everything. When we would go through the brain, we had a whole class in neuroanatomy, learning about the brain and every aspect of the brain, including how it works, how it functions, and what it looks like, smells like, tastes like, everything.
Taste, hold on, what?
Everything.
What? Who the fuck is tasting somebody's brain?
This is just my analogy.
Okay.
I would draw the entirety of the brain, every lobe, every gyrus, everything.
Fuck?
I drew it, and it was like enormous, because that's how I had to learn.
Wow.
I wasn't in a physical classroom, but I was also taking tests for the first year of optometry school. You take a test or two every single week for like an entire year. So for me to have to digest all of this stuff and then be able to perform at a high level, which I didn't tell you when I was an undergrad, I did very well. So the whole idea of me getting out of the military and finally being able to succeed in college, it worked. And that's the reason why I got accepted at the school.
Nice.
And now I'm sitting here amongst all of these geniuses.
Yeah.
The bag boy from Kroger.
Nice.
I'm sitting amongst all these geniuses, and I'm like, holy shit, everybody's smarter than me. And I wasn't used to that, because when I was an undergrad at Barry, I was so used to being like the top dog. And then I got to Ohio State, and I was like, wait a second, everybody at this school is smarter than me. So I felt stupid.
Well, or does that give you bragging rights?
It doesn't, well, it could, but
You're on their plane of learning.
I am on their plane of learning, and I did well. Drew, my other friend, my other optometry buddy out here, he was my best buddy in school. So Drew and I were like on the same wavelength.
Nice.
I might have been a bag boy working at Kroger. Well, Drew was like putting bricks on houses and stuff before he went to school. So we had a lot of tie-ins there.
Nice.
So I had Drew with me during COVID. Again, we're not allowed to like physically contact one another. Like, like we can't like be studying in the same area. Well, Drew would just come over. He's like, oh, whatever, man, I'm just going to come over and study at your house. So we broke a lot of rules there. Okay. But I couldn't do it on my own. And to be honest with you, I'm sure Drew would say the same thing. We probably wouldn't have gotten through it if it wasn't for each other.
That's fair.
Because we didn't have a social structure that was good for learning.
Yeah, no shit.
So the whole optometry shit at Ohio State was incredibly stressful.
That's wild, man.
It was incredibly stressful. But I will say this, having graduated from there and being able to go back now as an alumni is awesome. I love it.
How so?
Because again, it's like one of those things, when you are an alumni from Ohio State, you are now joining a very large network of people.
Nice.
So if I tell somebody, or if I'm wearing like an Ohio State shirt at the clinic or something, and somebody sees that and they happen to be from Ohio or they graduated from Ohio State, the first thing you hear is OH. And then your response, IO. That's the way that we talk to each other.
There's fucking weirdos.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. But that's
like Jeep drivers waving at each other.
correct. Or I like to say this. When I was driving out here to New Mexico, I had a big ass U-Haul, and it was funny because every time we would pass a semi truck on the road, I would always like tip my hat because I was driving this big ass. And my buddy Drew, my friend that we were talking about, he'd always say like, "Dude, your hands are way too soft to be tipping your hat at truckers."
He's not wrong.
You got soft hands, brother. But anyway, so going to school at Ohio State, crazy, good time, bad time, all at once. But then, again, going back to why am I here? Well, that's a great segue, right? I'm here because I met somebody who went to school at Ohio State. I would not have been here in New Mexico, as random as hell as this is. I wouldn't have been here had I not met somebody from Ohio State, and that individual is the reason why I got out here.
Where did you meet that individual?
At a conference.
At Ohio State?
No. In Denver, Colorado, of course.
Shut your fucking pie hole.
Yes.
Now hold on. Didn't Drew get on that wagon first?
No, I was the first one on the wagon.
No kidding.
As a matter of fact, I built the wagon.
Oh, so, you wagon building motherfucker!
I am. So I built that relationship that I had made with this particular individual. I built that relationship because, let's take this and tie this back in. My wife, she knew that we wanted to move to Oregon, right?
Yeah.
I told you that I didn't go to school in Oregon.
Right.
Okay. Well, when I graduated, she said, "Are we now going to move to Oregon?" And I said, "Well, I've met a lot of people from Oregon at conferences, but didn't really I had a lot of conversations with people from Oregon. Most of those conversations were coupled with wine tastings and bourbon drinking. I had a lot of good times with people from Oregon. As a matter of fact, I even served on the Oregon delegation of optometrists in Washington, D.C. for an event back like 2 or 3 years ago.
Damn.
And I got to meet the whole Oregon Optometric Association. So they all know me. As a matter of fact, I could text a guy right now from that delegation who has like 3 practices in Portland.
Wow.
So I know these people. But as much as I knew them, here's the thing about optometry. Nobody really gives a shit about where you want to work at if you haven't passed boards.
Of course.
So I happened to meet all these people prior to passing my board certification exams, which sucked ass. But
okay.
I did meet somebody who was interested in me prior to passing boards.
Nice.
And that was the guy out here.
And that's how you met my wife?
Correct. And that's how I met Sarah. And as a matter of fact, Sarah was the one who onboarded me as a student coming out here for my rotations.
Awesome.
Because talking about the wagon building, well, I built that wagon by asking this particular person to bring us out here as students so that I could get a on-site interview. That's what I thought of it as. He thought of it more as an opportunity to have me come out and just kind of like...
Free labor.
Free labor.
Fucking mooch.
But what I did was that I utilized my time here in Rio Rancho working at that practice as a on-site interview, and it worked out in my favor. I got the job. So
yeah,
I told my wife, let's give New Mexico a shot. This was back in 2023. She came out here and visited. She loved it, like blown away, loved it. And we've been out here, and we don't plan on leaving anytime soon. So.
And we bang chains and we have good times.
Hell yes, bro.
And we get together and play fun ass board games and shit. That's good times.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing is like you think about this, an extension of your family, right? I feel like from the conversations I've had with you about your family and the conversations that I've had with Sarah about her family, and then you hear these things from me about my family, and I think that there's a lot of similitude there.
Sure.
And I think that's where you bridge the gap with people. The strongest connections that you're going to meet in life are those who you meet with people who come from just drastically different places, but very similar circumstances.
100%.
And that's why I think that you and I have gotten along so well, is because I think that we can really like float on the same level when it comes to like our history. We have very similar, well, there's a lot of differences.
And I'm so much older than you. This is fucking wild. You're a little kid.
I know, dude. I'm a little kid. But it's like, I have an older brother. and my older brother is actually about your age.
That's wild.
So it's like I was so used to growing up with being surrounded by older people that I feel like I almost belong with somebody like you.
And I've had nothing but little brothers. I mean, I have nothing but little brothers, so
Yeah.
you fit right in.
But but also on the exact opposite note, I'm now so used to being around younger people because of my college experience. Because being in school, I was always surrounded when I was in school. Again,
You were the old man.
I was the old man.
That's wild.
So then I'm now around you, and you're like, you're just a little guy, and I'm like, well, I love this because like to Drew, I'm just the old man, the grumpy old grandpa veteran guy.
Oh God, Drew's younger than you?
Oh, dude, Drew's like 4 years younger than me.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he's the same age as my wife.
All right, I'm definitely having him on here.
Yeah,
And you're welcome to sit in on that because that would be good times.
of course, dude.
Okay.
But yeah, that's I think that that's like cutting some of or trimming some of the fat. That's probably about like 90% of like my life.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. I actually want to applaud you because you threw a bunch of shit in there that we didn't talk about the last time.
Every time you talk to me, I will tell you different things. As a matter of fact.
So how do we know any of this shit is true?
Correct. As a matter of fact, I just want you to know, I'm actually just an author. I write stories. And I actually wrote this story for today.
Buy his book. It's coming out on Amazon tomorrow.
Correct. And I just want to let you guys know, I'm actually a Burqueño. I was born and raised here in Albuquerque, and none of this is true.
We all know that's not true either because you didn't even pronounce it correctly.
I grew up just off of Lomas and Central.
Oh God. Oh God, dude! I actually lived. Louisiana and Central. I lived as a kid.
Did you enjoy
for
it?
3 or 4 years? I mean, as a little kid, it was fine. I didn't. I guess you're a product of your environment, and I didn't realize that it was bad. It didn't seem bad to us kids. I had fun. I went to a fun school, hung out with a bunch of fun other kids who were in the neighborhood. Albeit, I will say that there was some deformities in my neighborhood. Like one of my good friends, I still remember her name, Kiana. She had two pinkies. Like her pinky split in two. This pinky.
What?
It was wild. And then another girl had like, I don't know, something with her ear. There was like 2 folds or something. I don't know. It was wild,
Was
bro.
it something in the water? You guys were playing in the Rio Grande too much.
It wasn't anywhere near the Rio Grande, bro. It's like the worst. It's the international district right now, so it's like real grimy over there now. But as kids, I used to walk those streets by myself. It was fun. Although it wasn't homeless central when I was a kid either. It was still grimy, but it wasn't what it is now. So.
Yeah, that was, to be honest with you, man, that was like, to me, an eye-opening experience amongst, well, let's dial that back. Going into the military, having lived in Kentucky, to be honest with you, I never, and again, this is just mostly privilege, I never really, I didn't know any homeless people in my hometown. You didn't see them. I'm sure they were there, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
You go there nowadays, and there's more homeless people there, and I know when I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, that's a homeless person. But I'm not. I never had any experience being around them, and I knew like I was all over my hometown.
Sure.
That town in Frankfort, Kentucky, that town is tiny. I mean, it's like everybody knows everybody some way or another, right?
Where everybody knows your name?
Correct. And if they don't know you, they know your grandfather. If they don't know your grandfather, they know your uncle or your cousin. Everybody has some kind of tie in there, right? And then there was also, that's just one example. But another example was, I actually had never met an openly gay person.
Holy shit, you sheltered fuck.
Dude, I think a lot of it has to do with...
Wait. Hold on. On that note, was it that the people who were gay in Frankfurt were closeted? Or
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Because it wasn't socially acceptable.
That's why I add the preface of I never knew any openly gay people.
Okay.
Come to find out when I got out of school and everybody went to college, then yeah, everybody started coming out.
Okay.
But it was like but I think a lot of it is that I was living in this very small rural area where it was like frowned upon to be gay. So I get to boot camp, and I learn immediately after I got into boot camp that my rack mate, the guy who slept directly underneath of me, was a queer guy from Chicago. And I was like, I had never met.
You're like, what's that like?
I was like, no, because I was like, you know, like just the way that he talked and the way that he presented himself, and I was like,
was he like a flamboyant or
very flamboyant?
Okay.
And I was like, I've never really been around somebody like. I've only seen this shit on TV. Like I literally had never been. That's how closeted and rural.
That's wild.
So again, eye-opening experiences.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why, like, looking at and talking with people, I don't really talk to a lot of people from that area anymore, but, and I'm sure they're great people. I just don't know them anymore. We live different lives.
Fair.
But when I talk to like people from the area, they still live in that same kind of shit. It's the same stuff. People don't have a lot of unless if you're going to Louisville or Lexington. Those are the places where you happen to have a little bit more of a younger crowd, and it tends to be a little bit more flamboyant. But I didn't have any experience with that, and it was so unusual to me to be around different types of people. And I think that again was another thing that really just played into my book, where it was like, you're getting a really good experience in the military. Like I'm meeting so many different types of people from all over the world.
That's wild. So my takeaway from that, just on a quick note, and I don't want to get political, but it seems like very, I don't know, red state, very conservative.
It is,
and that's atypical of who you are and your personality. That's wild.
Yeah,
and you accredit that to your military experience.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
I will say, like, getting out of that little shell that I was raised in, and like breaking the mold and getting away. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't really have any desire to go back. I'm like, why the hell? Like my family, they always ask, like, okay, have you had enough fun traveling and stuff? Can you come back home now? And I'm like,
why?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not done. Like I have only, in the words of John Paul Jones, the old Navy man, I have only yet to begin. I have only yet to begin. I feel like the more experiences that I accumulate throughout my life, the more well-rounded I am becoming, the more knowledge I am obtaining. I would never have been doing this shit. We would not be having this conversation had I not wrecked my mom's car going to a tennis match.
Fucking wild hell, what? Dude, we're going a little bit long here, and if you've got time, I'll tell you a story about our trip.
Bring it, dude. Yeah.
Fucking wild how the world works, how life is, just this sim that we live in, okay? So, I have so much, I don't even know where to start the story, but here, I'll just give you the condensed version. The airline left our bags in Denver.
Yeah.
When we got over there. So we are getting on this cruise ship with nothing, with just an empty carry-on that we brought to put souvenirs in. That's what we had to get on the ship. No clothes, didn't have my medicine, no nothing. Because of that, because they left our bags behind, we met the fucking coolest people who were on that cruise ship, who are actually now new friends of ours. And like, just you saying that we wouldn't be having this conversation had you not wrecked your mom's car. Like, fucking total sim, dude, because that's exactly what happened on this trip.
Yeah.
The airline that lost our bag, and it turned out to be one of the coolest things that happened to us.
Trauma bonding.
Fucking wild. I mean, we eventually got our bags, and I'll tell you all about that later, but fucking just insane. Like, we would not have met the people that we met had that not happened.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
It's crazy, dude. I'm telling you, uncomfortable things happen, and then very comfortable things happen shortly after.
The sim. It's all sim.
It's crazy, man. I mean, like I said, it's like you think about all these the way that like the what is it? The dominoes falling down, dude. Like you hit one and it just kind of just cascades into all types of shit. I will end with this.
Okay.
If you are afraid to be uncomfortable, and you think that your life is comfortable, and you think that you're happy with what you're doing in life, and you just get into this like rhythm of just doing the same shit all the time, it is not going to get you anywhere in life.
That is facts, and we have evidence that we live with daily, you at your job specifically, of how people get comfortable, and that's it. They're done.
They're done. They're cooked.
Done. They're not going anywhere. That's the end of their... I don't know.
That's
wild.
And I will say this. That is not to say that there's anything wrong with it.
No, I mean, if that's your ambition, but
100%.
You can't sit around and be like, damn, I want to go see this someday. I want to go do this someday. But never ever actively take any kind of a change
Yes.
in your life.
The reason why I say this and I feel so passionate about this is because I look at myself as an example, and I say to myself, if you would have watched those videos about naval boot camp, and because that was some real shitty stuff that I went through, and I'm like, if you would have watched those videos and you would have said, this looks really stressful, man, I don't want to do this, what would I have missed out on in life?
No shit.
Everything. I would not be married to my wife.
You'd be a bag boy.
I would be a bag boy, or
you would have been in Louisville.
I would have been in Louisville, and I would have worked for corporate. My brother, who I love dearly, I feel like he has very similar aspirations that I did. He does, like, the idea of, like, leaving Kentucky and going to these places and, like, seeing these things, and he sees me living in Japan, and he saw me living in California. All of these things are, like, very exciting for him. He's not comfortable doing that.
No, but he is comfortable living vicariously through you.
The next word out of my mouth was going to be vicariosity. I think that he is happy that I am doing these things. I think that he is happy and he is appreciative of me opening up his world a little bit and allowing him to have an opportunity to go and do these things, because he does come out to visit.
Oh, cool.
He hasn't been out here yet, but he went to Florida. He went to California. He didn't go to Japan. None of my family came out to visit me when I was in Japan. That's just
I would have.
That's a little bit too far fetched for them. That like the idea of going to Japan, you aren't going to get my stepdad complains flying from Kentucky to Florida. That's a 2-hour flight. He ain't flying to 18 hours to Tokyo.
Oh, I would.
Yeah. Oh, I know you would have. But I think that he's appreciative that I was able to do those things. I think he wanted to do those things. But he has his roots are sowed so deep in that soil.
It's the older generation too. Like, we have that here in New Mexico. My grandpa, my dad, like, they are just so old school roots. They are so far deep in the ground that there is nowhere they're going to go. There's nothing they're going to do, and that's perfectly content with them. That they're okay with that. And that's fine.
And that is okay. What is the thing that will build a community? You need people that are from there to build a community.
You need structure.
You need structure, and you can't just have transients coming in and
100%.
Because then you get all the problems that you know, like the problems in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
What do you think the problems in Santa Fe are? I think it's a lot of the transients, people moving in from other places and buying up properties and bringing the costs up.
Right.
So there's a lot of problems with people moving into areas like that. But at the same time,
the diversity's nice, but it's also gentrification on the other hand. Like, it's a two-sided coin, and you can't have one without the other. It's kind of fucked.
And it is considered a luxury to live a nice life in Santa Fe.
Oh, dude, even a shitty life in Santa Fe is a luxury.
Yeah.
I honestly, we would not be doing at all well if we were still there.
No,
we would be doing paycheck to paycheck pretty much.
But you're doing just fine here.
Yeah,
and you've got a beautiful home, and you've got a beautiful wife. You have a beautiful life.
We've got a beautiful extended family.
Yeah, you've got everything that you need right here,
100%,
man.
100%. All right, well, this was great, man. This was so much fun. I enjoyed doing this with you, and I hope to do it many, many more times. Yeah. Definitely going to get back here with Drew.
Next time we'll get the cards out. We'll play some gin rummy, and we'll do talks around gin rummy. Yeah.
Love it. All right, brother. Well, thank you again for taking the time out and coming and doing this with me. And thank you all for coming back to Season 2. This is Episode 1 of Season 2. We're back. We're going to try to do some weekly releases this season. Maybe we can get enough podcasts edited on time to do some weekly drops. But either way, we've got a lot of people coming up there's some crazy shit on this season. So I hope you tune in and all of your friends tune in, because it's going to be a trip. Anyway.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. This has been another episode of Ordinary Joe's Extraordinary Stories. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Oh, dude, I was gonna bring something over that I wanted to show you, and I left it at the office. I got an emulator, and I bought it for $60 from some Chinese website.
And it works good?
It fucking works great, dude. I take it to the office when, like, on my lunch breaks. I just sit in my car and just play Pokemon. Like, I fucking love it, dude.
Nice. You think it's gonna have longevity?
I hope so. It needs to last through my Japan trip, so I'm taking that fucker. That's what I'm taking to get through my flight. I'm gonna play 12 hours of Pokemon each way.
12 hours? Yeah, but you're in business class, bro.
No, I'm in economy.
Ah!
Yeah, I'm gonna need those 12 hours of Pokemon.
Damn!
I told you, dude, I am a fucking penny pincher, bro. I'm not paying for no... You guys can live that luxurious lifestyle.